I am Ed Sperling. I'm the editor-in-chief of Semiconductor Engineering. I'm here at Modus Test with Jack Lewis. We're going to talk today about issues in ramping advanced packaging. Jack, what's changing in terms of when you're trying to test an advanced package versus what it was maybe a couple years ago?
With advanced packaging, the traditional methods are no longer giving us all the information we need about the package early in the process or the package process development.
And so, what sort of problems does that create as you go forward? Do you just not get the assurance that you've got total test coverage here?
This results in a packaging process that goes to silicon ramp that's not yet ready for robust yield.
Well, let's take a closer look.
Sure.
Jack, what are we looking at?
What we're looking at here is essentially an advanced package or a simplified version of an advanced package with a diagram of traditional daisy chain packaging test vehicles and what we would call a next generation test vehicle, which is going to be required for the future.
And the daisy chain, basically, you're following a signal that runs all the way through, and you can identify, okay, here's a problem because we see the signal is not running as strong over here as it is someplace else.
Yeah, so with the traditional daisy chain, they go through many interconnects typically due to lack of instrumentation channel count at the bottom. So they'll chain many bonds together. And so really you have a continuity check, a go no go. There's not there's a loss of information about the individual bond because it's drowned out in the noise of the entire chain.
And this gets a lot more complicated as we get into some of the new advanced packages, right? Because now you've got things stacked upon other things.
Yes, that's true. So as we're stacking these packages, the coplanarity, warpage, the bonding processes, everything that we're doing to make these individual bonds from a C4 bump or to copper bump or a die to die connection. Each one of these bonds is critical, and the amount of information, precise information about we can get about these individual bonds and the performance of the bonding process will help us ramp and hit entitlement quickly.
One of the challenges you run into here is that not all the interconnects are visible and accessible, right?
That's correct. So at the substrate level or at the bottom of the package level that's going to go to the outside world, there's a limited number of package balls. A lot a lot of the interconnect is up in top of the package and it's inaccessible after silicon. So no longer the traditional processes have been able to access these each ball to an IO cell on the silicon is not available because most of them are not accessible. So we need to have a robust process before we ever get to silicon level to make sure that this packaging is performing as expected.
Do you get enough visibility into this to say, "Oh, here's a problem"? Is it getting harder to do that simply because it's basically you've got a lot of noise going on here, right? And now you have to siphon through that noise.
Yeah, there's essentially DC noise. It's noise in the fact that the chains or the number of bonds you're looking at is too large. So what we need to do is actually in the test vehicle design, instead of just chaining large chains, we need to go with a Kelvin connection and get up around each one of these bonds and measure the bond, an individual bond with a Kelvin connection very precisely into the micro ohm range. And we can do that distributed across each layer of the substrate, each die to die interconnect. So it's all about planning, test insertion of the circuit, and then making the measurements and getting sufficient quantity for it to be valuable. So we need thousands of measurements per package to take that information and train the inspection models as well.
Are all the bonds the same or are they different?
The bonds are different. Each packaging vendor, each packaging technology. There's many different kinds of bonds, and in our case, we don't really care what kind of bond it is. We just want to measure the performance of the bond, look at the distribution, be able to find the outliers early, because an outlier may not show up in a daisy chain, but it may impact you in a functional test with the silicon later, or it can even be a latent defect, or it's a sign of warpage or coplanarity problems that will manifest themselves in temp cycle, any number of things like that.
And one of the problems here is that you're really trying to understand, okay, if we go into manufacturing with this and we start doing this en masse, what changes? Is one or two tests enough, or do we really need to understand much more detail? Hey, this is how it's going to show up in the real world as we start mass producing these.
Yeah, we need a lot more information early. pre live silicon. So there's great AI agents and monitors that can go on silicon. If your package process isn't good, they will fail there, but now you've delayed your process. So we can give the packaging side of the house a vehicle to know that their bonding process is whatever layer are robust before they get to that point. And it also gives them a process monitor vehicle, a vehicle to test process corners, mechanical corners, machine corners as far as their process variation, and also feed that information back to the design tools that are doing the design simulation, physical simulation of these very complex packages. So having that very precise information in very large quantity is critical to train the models, to train the simulations, and to train the inspection tools as well for the final product.
One of the challenges with advanced packaging is that these really are a lot of times unique implementations. Does it matter from one implementation to the next of, okay, this may be different than the last one we did. We may run the power differently. We may cool it differently. Does that actually change how you're testing it?
From our perspective, no, because the key here, we're not running live silicon. This is a power off test. We're looking at the DC characteristics of these junctions. So as long as you design your test vehicle to give you access to the points that you care about, the critical points, then this really applies to any package. So as the package processes are changing rapidly now, they're trying lots of different things. You can now look at the bonding characteristics without having to get to a real product and find out that it doesn't yield yet, right? So it gives an early look and to help fix the packaging process early on in the process.
Does it matter what kind of substrate you're using? Because there's a lot of different substrates coming in here as well. You've got silicon, you've got organic, you've got glass.
No, as far as this concept goes, no, it does not matter what the substrate type is, and so that's one of the reasons why you need this because if you're changing substrate types or you're changing underfills or you're changing bulb chemistry, anything like that, and you want to be able to monitor change, this is a great way to do it because we get the visibility in at the micro ohm level to know what happened at that bond, at that when it actually bond, exactly what it looks like, the surface area, any kind of defect will manifest itself as a resistance change, and we have the sensitivity to see that.
When you look at what you've been doing in testing, what are you finding in terms of commonality of where people are going wrong?
I think the common thread that we're seeing with the people we're talking to is the reliance on traditional methods and not thinking outside the box about what else we can do. I think it's a maybe not knowing what metrology is available to them, that there is metrology there with the density and the precision to give them another way to look at this. So it's leaning on traditional methods, on non traditional packaging. They're coming up short when they get to the ramp.
For a lot of companies, this is a pretty sizable investment. How do you get the most out of it? What do you actually need to do now in order to leverage what you've already paid for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, when you make a test vehicle, packaging vehicle, whether it's traditional daisy chain or a next generation vehicle like this, there's a lot of fixed costs just to make the vehicle. So one way this helps you develop your package process. It helps you tune your process corners. It also gives you an ongoing process monitor. So anytime you're changing recipes, you always have this information to fall back on, and you don't necessarily have to impact the production line silicon process using this package. You always have this vehicle that you've already invested in to make growth with and know that it's going to be good when it gets to the other side if you move that change or this recipe change or material change. And also it's a great vehicle for your package qualification. So independent of the silicon, the transistor issues that you may encounter in HTOL or temp cycle, you can use this to break you and to separate and isolate those issues so that you can deal with packaging only issues or and then also you have your final silicon stuff, which you would obviously qual as well. So this is a great way to isolate two possible issues from each other and don't let one cloud the other.
And this also is a learning vehicle too, right? So you can take what you learn from this migration and say, okay, this is going to improve our yield so we can get to market faster.
That's correct. So knowing that the package process is going to be good because these days none of these processes are mature. So going with an immature package process to and expecting to ramp at entitlement on the silicon side is very risky, and I don't think it's a risk worth taking when there's a way uh, to guarantee that you're not going to have those kinds of issues.
Jack Lewis, thanks for a great explanation.
Thanks for your time.